Hi guys, Ben here. Welcome to our first JGF Tech for All video. Today's video is going to cover some very early basic Python programming. We're going to get Python installed and create that environment for you guys so you can start playing around here. I will put all the links into the software that we're using into the description so that you can go ahead and pause and download stuff as you need to, or go ahead and get sidetracked and have a look at other stuff, which is great. That's exactly what you should be doing. So let's get straight into it. What we're going to start off with is quite simply getting our Python installed. Now we're going to use Anaconda. You can go ahead and Google Anaconda. It should come up as a first hit, or click on the video, click on the link below. Once you've done that, it'll bring you to the page here. What we're going to do is go ahead and click on download and click download there. It'll take you to this section. We're going to use the 3.7 version, the latest version, and just hit download. It'll get the right version for you. You don't need to worry about it. Now, Anaconda is great. It will bring in all the various libraries that we want and need to do stuff with, and actually it's a great platform for moving into much more advanced stuff like data analysis or machine learning, or even getting into some early AI and building out those knowledge areas for you. But today, and especially in these early videos, we're very much going to keep it at the basic level. So once you've got that downloaded, you can go ahead and find it in your downloads folder. I'm going to get that installing, so double click on it. Just click next on the first one. It'll ask you to agree to the license terms. You can go ahead and have a read of it. I'm going to click agree. Here we're going to stick to the default, so we're going to just for me. Now, if this is your own personal PC and you don't really care about it being installed across, you can go ahead and click on for all, but for our purposes, just for me is fine. It's going to ask you where you want to install it. I'm going to stick to the default, which is going to be in my own user directory. And then you will have register Anacondas as your default Python ticked. Now, of course, I didn't. As you notice, I've got Python already installed. So go ahead and click install. It'll take a minute. It'll get it installed in the background. Now, if it's still installing, hit pause. Just wait for it to finish. Now that we've got Python and Anaconda installed, when we click on Start and go into our Start menu, we'll see there's a new folder here called Anaconda. If you drop that down, we're going to see a whole bunch of stuff. Now, the first one we're quite interested in is this Anaconda Navigator. You get that loaded. Now, what Anaconda Navigator is essentially where everything is stored. It helps us to install new stuff as well as create environments. Now, we'll come onto environments in a later video, but it is a great place to come to. Now, as you can see, Anaconda already comes with a bunch of stuff. Now, you're not going to have Visual Code installed, VS Code. You will want to get that installed, so click on the Install button. It should look like that. So just click Install. That'll install in the background. What VS Code is a very powerful text editor. It has some integrations with other programming languages, but it is quite useful. It's one of my favorites. It's the one that I tend to use personally, and most of the people I work with as well, they use that. Now, if you want more of an integrated environment to do your development where you want to work, you can go ahead and use Spider in this scenario. There are other ones out there. We will look at them in later videos. We'll have a comparison between the different types. We will get into things like notebooks. Again, in other later videos, we get deeper into Python. For now, we just really want Visual Code. That's where we're going to start. And for 90% of our work, we are going to be focused right here. So click Install. That's going to install in the background. While that's installing, let's have a look at what this Environments tab is, right? So if we go to Environments, what you're going to have is you're going to have this base environment. Has within brackets, it calls it root, but as you can see, there's this base environment. Now, what's interesting is inside this base environment, we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff installed. There's a ton of different packages. You can see on my screen, you can see on your own screen, there's tons and tons of different packages installed, which is great. It means we don't need to go out and actually get them installed or compile them. They come pre-packed for Windows, and we can just go ahead and work from there. If you're using other operating systems like Mac OS, or if you're using Linux, same thing. Anaconda is a great place to come to. Now there are other tabs here, learning and community. You guys can go ahead and explore those on your own time. For this video, we're going to kind of leave those out for now. We'll come back to them in a later video. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our start menu, and we're going to drag down on our Python, Anaconda folder, and we're going to go down to where it says Anaconda PowerShell prompt, right? Now you can use the standard prompt if you want to. For me, I prefer the way that PowerShell looks and feels. Also, it enables me to zoom in and make things a little bit better. So here we are. We're in our Python prompt, and the first thing you'll note is base. So that's a great thing. We know that actually we are now in that base environment we were just looking at a second ago. So all that stuff's already installed inside the Python. Now, of course, we're not in Python here, so if I type some Python commands, for example, it's not really going to know what to do. It's trying to run PowerShell commands. So in order for us to get into our Python environment, we're going to type Python. It's going to take us into the Python console. Now we're in the Python world. We can type in Python-based commands. So we're going to learn a couple to start with. The first one we're going to learn is print. Right now, you can go ahead and type help here. So if I type help, and within brackets, if I type in the print command, what it's going to do is it's going to give me some information about what print is. And it's going to tell me how to run it, where things are at, and what it might look like, right? So quite nicely, it gives me all this information that helps me understand what that function is for. So we're going to have a look at what that function is for. So print is a very useful command to be able to output information to the console or to the terminal or to the screen. So first of all, if we type print and we type, so we're going to create a sentence. We're going to call that sentence is going to be hello world, right? And we're going to put it within these brackets. Every function in Python requires those brackets because anything inside that bracket is going to be passed into the function to do something with, right? So that's this value that we have here. Okay, so print hello world, here we go, and it outputs it to our screen, which is great, which is exactly what we're hoping for. It's spat out to us. Now, if I didn't have these speech marks, what's going to happen is actually print's going to tell us, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to take this information. These two things don't make sense to me. It's going to give us an error. So in order for print to understand what to do, it needs to be able to have it in a single variable or in a string. So in a character or in a sentence. All these things mean the same in Python. So we have our sentence, hello world. We're telling print to print it out. Now we can put our string into a variable. Now a variable, if you imagine it in this scenario, is like a mug, right? So we can only have one thing inside this mug. We can have a cup of tea in the mug. We can have some coffee in the mug. We could have some juice in the mug. We could even have some ice cream in the mug. We could have some soup in the mug. But you can only have one of those things. Now, if you want to swap it around, of course, what was in there gets replaced and something new goes in, right? So hello is our variable. We're going to create this variable called hello. Now, if I press enter at this point, what Python's going to tell me is I don't know what hello is. What do I do with this information that you're giving me? How do I deal with it, right? So what we need to do is we need to put something inside this mug because it's empty. There's nothing for Python to do. So we're going to put our hello world in. So this equal sign is telling Python to take whatever's on the right-hand side and put it into the left, right? So we're going to do hello world. That's our sentence. We're going to put that sentence into hello. So now it's not errored. Python knows what to do. It knows that we're trying to put something inside this mug, this variable. And if I type hello, what we get is Python goes, actually, I know what this is. I can tell you what's inside this mug, inside this variable. There's hello world in it. Here it is. Have a look, right? Now, it's very important to know that if we did print hello, it will also do the same thing. Now, the difference here is if we're running this as a script, which we'll get to later, if we run it as a program, if we just type hello like this, Python will not say anything to us. it'll just churn it up and it will spit it out somewhere else, and it will not give that information back to us in the console. So for it to come back to the console, what we need to do is we need to tell it to print it. So that's where this print command comes in order for it to print it out to the terminal. So we've created our first variable and we've looked at our first function, in fact our first two functions, help being the other. What we're going to do is we're going to create another variable. So here I'm going to create the variable world. I'm going to put my world is of pies, right? So now I have two. I have hello, which has hello world in it. So if I type that, and my world has of pies. Now Python is a great calculator. It's a very powerful calculator. So it can do some simple things. So if I do 1 plus 2, it's going to know what to do. It knows 1 is a number, 2 is a number, and then what add is, I can add those two together and give you 3. Now, in that same way, if we took hello and we added world to it, because they're both strings, they're both sentences, it knows what to do. It knows to take the hello world bit, and then add of pies to the end of it. Now, the reason why there's a space here is because I put a space there. If I didn't do that, so if I went here and I changed that, and I changed it without the space, what we do, hello plus world, happens is the world and the of get added together like that. Now, just because I like to keep it a bit clean, I'm going to do that, right? So again, if I do it again, there we go, we have our space back. Now, if I create a third variable, I call it number, call it whatever you like, I'm going to put a number in it. I'm going to put the number 1 into it. Now, if I do hello plus number, what's going to happen is it's going to have a problem. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know how to take this character, this string, or little sentence, and to add a number to it. It's quite simple. It's like saying, hey, here's two very, very different things, smash them together. We don't know how to put those things together, right? They don't fit. So what we need to do is, in order for Python to understand how to add these things together, we need to make this number into a character or string, make it the same type. Now we have two options, of course. We can very easily go back here and say number is equal to 1 by putting it in the speech marks, which when we add them together, goes, hey, I know what to do. I can add these things together. They work perfectly, right? Now, if we didn't want to do that, say number had to be a number, what we can do is, instead of saying hello plus number like this, we say hello plus the string number. str stands for string. So what it's going to do is whatever's inside of this function, our new function string, it's going to turn it into a string. So when I press enter, it's going to be able to do those things. It's going to go hello plus hello world plus number 1. Can mush them together perfectly fine. Now, a great little thing to note is if I do hello plus number here with the print command, I'm going to get the same error. However, instead of putting the plus here, if I put a comma, just separate it like that, print is going to know what to do. It already knows how to add these things. What it's going to do also is, if you note, it's going to separate them by a little space. Now, if we type print, notice is there's this sep bit here. And what that is doing is actually it's adding that space in there for us, which is brilliant. Right? So we don't need to remember to convert the number into a string. We can just pass it to print, and print will deal with it for us. So if I was to do hello number world, it'll add all those things together. Hello world number of pi, number 1 pi, right? Brilliant. So print is actually really powerful. As you can see, it knows how to add different types of variables together. So it can take a number, it can take a string, and put them together into one beautiful thing, which is great. So we've now learned a few things. So we've learned the help command. So we know that if we put anything inside here, any function that we know that Python knows about, it will print that out to us. We've learned our print command to help us put things out, so spit it out. We'll print them. And we've learned our string command to convert anything, including a string, into a string. Right? So we've learned 3 very unique commands, which are great, very, very powerful commands. The other thing that we've learned as well is how to create a variable, so we know what variables are, Variables are a single container or a single mug, and they can only hold one type of thing. We've learned about types. We've learned the string type, and we've learned the number type. All right, so this is a great point where we're going to pause on our console. What we're going to take is we're going to take everything we've learned here, and we're going to put it into a file, into a script.